We are going live for a few minutes here to give you an update on what's happened here so far this morning with our now ongoing winter storm, what's ahead, and some of the impacts that we've already seen, plus some that we might wind up seeing later. So we appreciate you joining us here on KVUE. Again, YouTube coverage always brought to you now by Longbine Auto Plaza as driven by longbineauto.com. We've got a lot of stuff really to talk about, but we can tell you here, at least to start things off here, that our road crews locally, whether it's Emporia, Lyon County, KDOT, have been out a lot of the morning. Some cases around 3 or 4 in the morning. Some cases maybe around 6:30. Regardless, though, they report a fair amount of progress here across the KVOE listening area, and specifically here for Emporia and Lyon County. Part of that is not only the fact that the snowfall hadn't come in as heavy as first thought, and we're looking at 1-2 inches here this morning. We're talking 2 or 3 in the morning. And now with totals anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of snowfall here. We knew that the snowfall was going to be light and powdery, so that has helped the clearing side of things. But the other thing, couple of things that have helped out here as well are one, a little bit of sunshine, occasional sunshine, which hasn't helped the temperatures at all, but that does provide a little bit of help. And also the wind speeds, which we saw anywhere yesterday from 20 to 30, and then some cases 30 to 40 miles per hour, have progressively slowed down as the morning here today has progressed. So there hasn't been as much drifting as was feared, but there's also still some concerns, obviously, of some drifting and some pockets where windrows have kind of blocked some of the snow from clearing streets and roads, both in town and out of town. So that's going to be part of the effort here as crews continue for a little bit. They may take a little bit of a break here as we're recording this just before noon, with more snowfall possible here, but a lot of the accumulating snowfall now done here across the KVUE listening area. So let's go ahead and take a look here at a couple of things. We're going to flip the computer around here just a second so you can see what I'm seeing right now. This is candrive.gov, and this is the latest here. As you can see, the eastern half of the state, and we'll zoom in here just now, straighten this out here for you. We still do have, even with all those cameras kind of blocking the way, one more zoom should give you a really good sense of it. This is what we're seeing. Emporia is right here with the grabby hand, for lack of a better term. And what you can see is the blue means partly covered highways, and the purple means completely covered. So aside from a couple of spots, you see I-35 around Emporia out to the K-130 exit, and US 56 from Admire to the Osage County line. Those are, at least for now, those are the only highways that do not have any official coverage that candrive.gov is currently listing for you right now. And in case you ever want to see what the color scheme is, that's it. And you can find this again at candrive.gov. Now, again, blue and purple, with a couple of exceptions, is what we have here across the listening area. So please keep that in mind as you're heading out. We'll now shift to the KVUE Guzman Tree Service and Landscaping WeatherTap.com radar. We've seen a couple of those brown patches, the drier patches of air coming in at times here this morning. And this is really where the forecast that we had earlier in the week, when we were telling you about those 6 to 10 inches of snow, the concerns about how this forecast may not get to those levels, basically because of drier air working in pockets. This could well signal what meteorologists have been looking for here since Thursday, Friday, which is really the end of round one of accumulating snowfall. You see these darker bands that are setting up in central Chase County and then further out towards Wichita, west of Emporia. And that is a little bit of heavier snowfall, but we do expect the light accumulating snowfall that we've seen since about sunrise to come to an end soon. And then the way it appears, we're still looking at the possibility of some redevelopment here of some light to maybe at times moderate accumulation of snowfall this evening through the overnight, and then wrapping up in total at some point in time by noon, if not earlier than that on Sunday. So this is, again, KVOA's Guzman Tree Service and landscapingweathertap.com radar. And we could well be seeing the end of round one with lightest snow accumulations here that we have. We have had a lot of updates to this particular page. This is kvoe.com/closings, and we have had updates here really coming in since Tuesday, but this morning has been extremely active, specifically when you look at not only community operations, but specifically local businesses. This list has really exploded since yesterday afternoon. Locally anyways, and then the churches. Many churches right now, not all of them, but many of them, as you can see, have now canceled their services for tomorrow. So what we're going to do here is just remind you that if you do have a schedule adjustment to pass along, whether it's closings, cancellations, postponements, delays, anything like that for your business, your say your nonprofit, say your church, we want you to message the KVOE Bluestem Farm and Ranch text line at 620-342-5863. Again, that number is 620-342-5863, because that way we'll be able to get that here immediately and get that up here on that page and continue that information flow. We've had a lot of them here, and if you've gone to KVOE social media platforms, whether it's Facebook, specifically X, those two, you'll be able to see all of the different ones that we've been putting in since noon yesterday, and all of the ones that we've been really starting to add since about 6-7 o'clock this morning. So again, if you do have a schedule adjustment for your business, for your nonprofit, for your church between today and for tomorrow especially, message the KVOE Bluestem Farm and Ranch text line at 620-342-5863. 620-342-5863. Another thing that I'm going to do here is I look off screen for a second so I make sure I know what I'm putting in front of you here. I'm going to flip back the visual so you can see the map as of about 10 o'clock this morning that's come out with the snowfall totals. We're going to go ahead and get back to that here. Emporia is the 3-inch mark right there. You see Lyon County. You see 2.2 inches of snowfall there. That's in southwestern Coffee County, 2.5 near Linden. So right now we are near the low end. We do have some pockets of 4 here in town. We also did have a report of just under 2 inches in Burlington. And then you start looking at areas really in central and north central Kansas that wound up with noticeably more, not quite to the high-end forecast that we had Thursday and yesterday, but noticeably more snowfall just off to our west, really. And nothing here with this particular map concerning Oklahoma and Texas, which we're looking at some pretty high-end snow totals. And the further into Texas you got, looking at some pretty significant icing, if not crippling icing from Texas into the mid-Atlantic states over the next day or two. So there's the snowfall map, and we'll be posting that on KVOE's social media platforms here in just a little bit. Now, while we continue covering and letting you know how things are going on the clearing side, the snowplow side, travel, things like that here for the rest of the day today, and with the possibility of more snowfall to come here tonight into tomorrow morning, a couple of things to keep in mind. One of which is the cold temperatures that we currently have. We have seen wind chills in the 10 to 20 below range since about 6 a.m. yesterday, and they have not improved since then. As a matter of fact, the wind chills have been 10 to 20 below solid, aside from maybe 2 hourly reports from the National Weather Service since 6 a.m. on Friday. So it is extremely cold out. It is not going to take long for you to start suffering hypothermia or frostbite if you have exposed skin at these temperatures. The air temperatures have been barely above zero. We're talking anywhere from 2 to 6 above since yesterday morning, and that does not look like it's going to improve until tomorrow. It does appear like we'll see high temperatures getting into the low to mid-teens, only to turn right back around and go down to about 5 or 6 below overnight. And again, even with lighter wind speeds tonight and again tomorrow night into Monday, we could still be looking at those wind chills in the 10 to 20 below range both nights. things will finally start improving, but please keep that in mind, that it's going to be cold even well after the snowfall comes to an end tomorrow morning. The other thing to remember here is we've been focused here on the forecast and now the weather, the travel impacts, and things like that for the last several days. But we do have more news on KVOE News and KVOE.com here today. We're posting a story on the jobless rates, which for December 2025 here locally went up a little bit from November's markers, but we're still quite a bit lower than what we saw here in the middle of last year as the Tyson layoffs and the Tyson closure really kicked into high gear. We're also following up with more on our interview with Kansas Governor Laura Kelly here today with focal points on water policy and also rural health care. And we're also here a little bit later on going to tell you about a special meeting here for USD 251 North Lyon County as their facility discussion continues. So again, we've got weather as our lead focus here today, and that'll be on air, KVOE 1400 AM, 96.9 FM. That'll be on KVOE.com and also KVOE social media platforms. We'll have another video montage probably here before the night is out on YouTube specifically. But then we're also going to be updating you on all the other news that happens here throughout the course of the weekend in and around Emporia and Lyon County. So we are looking for, one thing I did forget out of all of that on the weather, one thing I forgot was how much snowfall we're expecting. And right now here area-wide, we're looking at 4 to maybe 7 inches of snowfall as a pretty standard range with the snowfall that's expected tonight and tomorrow morning. There could be some of us that wind up with pockets a little deeper than that, maybe up into the 8-inch range, but if you get 4 to 6, 4 to 7, that is now really considered the standard range that we can expect here across the KVOE listening area once the snow finally comes to an end tomorrow. So stay with KVOE, KVOE.com, KVOE social media. If you haven't joined us on our social media platforms, we definitely encourage you to do so. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, search for @KVOE News. If you're using X, go to @KVOE AM 1400, and that'll get you connected to what we put out. For those of you who have been on our social media platforms for a while, whenever we have weather and we have a kind of a long-standing event like this, you know we kick out a lot of information, and that's what we're doing here today and tomorrow as well as needed. Thanks for joining us here on KVOE with this special YouTube live report, YouTube coverage for KVOE brought to you by Longbine Auto Plaza, driven by longbineauto.com. Hope you stay safe here this weekend, and we'll continue to keep updated on KVOE and KVOE.com. I'm Chuck Samples, KVOE News.